Welcome to the Catalyst Sale Podcast. Whether you are a sales professional, not in sales, but interested in helping people solve problems, or a founder CEO who is looking to grow your business, you'll find practical tools, stories, and experience you can apply to your role. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and I'm here with Mike Simmons, the founder of Catalyst Sale. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Jody.
Well, Mike, it's so good to be back with you. We have a topic this week that I'm going to bring up because I know it's a topic that keeps coming up, and I think it's only going to become more relevant. And even though we may have recorded on this in the past, we've got to bring it up again. It's been a while since we've talked about technology and sales. I'm going to leave this a little free flowing for you. When I bring that up, technology and sales, what comes to mind?
Oh, no.
That is not what I expected to hear.
Well, that's good. I'm keeping you on your toes, Jody. It has been a while.
Well, you record with somebody for long enough and you start to understand what they might say and where they might go, but you caught me off guard on that one.
That is awesome. Jen and I have been married for over 20 years now, and I don't think she understands what I might say or where I might go. And this is a little bit different than technology, but when it comes to technology, it is amazing the number of new technologies that are coming out that are going to just save the planet when it comes to sales. In fact, I think it's really hard to sift through the noise associated with technology out there. There's a relatively new group called Vendor Neutral that is starting to pull all of this information together and make that process of sifting through technology and making technology decisions a little bit easier. And maybe we get Nancy or one of the folks from Vendor Neutral on an episode in the future. We'll see what kind of feedback we get on this one. But yeah, I really do. I think, oh no, because sometimes we make the technology more complex than it needs to be. And you've really got to ask that question. Is the technology enabling your team to perform better, your processes to perform better, helping you with general predictability in the business? Is it helping you with customer experience? Because if the technology is not helping, then it doesn't really belong in your process.
Well, how do we know when a new technology comes out or a new app or whatever it is? How do we know that it's something that could be relevant? Because we could spend a lot of time just researching everything new that comes out, or just trying it, or just playing with it, when we've got sales to make or we've got other work to do. So how do we know when we should pay attention to something?
Another tough question. I mean, what I do, so I'll just share my process. First thing I'll do, if I hear of a new technology, I'll probably take a quick look at their website and see how are they describing what they do. How does the company present itself in the marketplace? How active are they in various channels? Are they actively promoting information on LinkedIn? Are they actively engaged on Twitter? Are they presenting at some of the various conferences that are out there, like a Sales Enablement Society conference or Outreach, or Scott Ingram has his conference that he does in Austin that'll happen a little bit later this year. Are these the technologies that are sponsoring those events, and how are they trying to get their information out in the marketplace? So that would be one thing. I can just kind of see what the buzz is. The second thing I do is I go to people who I know in this space, and I ask them. I just ask my network, have you used this? Have you tried it? Have you heard of it? Do you know anybody who's using it? If it's a newer technology where people aren't using it or nobody's heard about it, I might test it, but it depends on if it hits a couple of key pieces for me. One, is it going to help augment a thing or something or some process or some activity that my team or I or the team of customers that we work with, it's going to help augment something that we're doing today that might be a manual process, and now this becomes more of an automated process. I think one of the scarier things that's out there right now when it comes to technology is so many people are talking about AI in their tools. And there was a recent paper, and we'll put a link to it, but a recent post said that 40% of the companies who said that they had AI in their platform actually had some kind of AI in their platform. And the opposite, the other side of that number means that 60% of those who say that they have AI don't actually have AI. there's some kind of mechanical something going on in the background that's helping to support that technology. So yeah, be careful. You got to be careful out there. There's a lot of noise.
There is a lot of noise. And what about if we go the other direction? I'm the type that just hangs on to what I know, what I'm comfortable with. And I am reluctant. I will drag my feet to change it because I come up with a system and it works for me and I hang on. There have been times, however, where I've hung on too long, where I should have made a shift sooner. What do you say about that? How do we know when, okay, the opposite of chasing after everything is often I chase after nothing. If we're in that spot, how do we know, okay, look, maybe you should start inspecting and check out some of the new things that are out there?
The good news is that reinforces why I don't come to you and ask you for your opinion about new and emerging technologies.
Yeah, the secret's out now.
The secret is out. So, I still use a pencil and a note card. And I know we've talked about that before. I still use a whiteboard and dry erase markers. I know we've talked about that before. I also use Google Docs and I use Slack and I use a couple of different CRM tools depending on the organization that we're working with. I think the thing that I would suggest is if you are a late adopter or a laggard when it comes to leveraging emerging technologies, still allocate some time where you explore those technologies, where you ask people what they're using and why they're using it and how they're using it. Lean on people inside your organization, members of your team who, maybe they're a little bit younger than you. Maybe they're a little bit more technical savvy. Maybe they've come up with some process that's going to that helps them accomplish more than you think they'd be able to accomplish. And you might be able to integrate that into your workflow. That doesn't mean that you have to adopt those things. But just like we've talked about before, from a time management perspective and being able to allocate time for those things that are not urgent, but important, the things that are going to make an impact on the business 6, 12, 18, 24 months down the road, the business development activities, look at technology and start to think, have I integrated a new technology into my system, into my workflow today? How could it level up or how could it significantly improve what I'm doing? I mean, you and I had a conversation just before we turned the mics on about trying to figure out what tasks are we doing on a daily basis that we might be able to outsource or offload onto someone else. One of the tasks that I'm doing on a monthly basis that's driving me nuts right now with the shift that we've had in our business is I'm getting more involved in the books. So I'm starting to see the communication back and forth between our accountant and what we have in QuickBooks and what we have in our budget with Google Docs and all of this other information. And I'm thinking, there is got to be a better way to do this. We shouldn't be sending spreadsheets or PDF files of documents back and forth with each other. So I would just evaluate your processes, evaluate what you're working on today, and then ask others how they've handled some of those repetitive tasks. And you might find that technology could help.
I think that's great. There are some tools that do help and it looks the other direction sometimes too. You still use a pencil on a note card. I still use a G2 pen and a legal pad. That is the tool that's used more than anything else for me. Every idea starts right there. And then it moves on to whatever the next thing is. And I have been trying to find ways to do it better, do what I do better, do my processes better. And so the one tool, and I'm just going to bring one up because it's one that keeps coming up that people tell me to look at, and that is Trello. And so I just signed up for Trello this week and I'm going to check it out. Hopefully I'll put enough time into it to decide if it works or not for me, rather than just be the grumpy old get off my lawn attitude about I don't want something new, because I think it's important to always be on the lookout for something that can help you do it better. There has to be a balance between going for everything bright and shiny that shows up versus holding on and never changing. And I don't know if I have quite found that balance. Maybe I hold on a little too long, but there are a lot of great tools. And since I mentioned one, and I have not used Trello yet, so I can't comment on it. What are some of your favorite tools outside of a note card?
Well, Trello is one of them. I think Trello is a great tool for project management and keeping track of tasks and starting to see how things are moving through a system or moving through a process or moving through information. And you can start to see where things are getting stuck. I mean, this is There's some other really good tools out there that some people would use instead of Trello. Asana is another one. Some people will use Smart Sheets. Some people will use Google Docs and just have a spreadsheet of information that will help them keep track of information and process. One of my favorite tools that I've adopted, and adopted it back when I was at Safari, the CTO of the organization brought it in. We started using Slack back in that organization. And we use Slack to communicate with each other. And I don't know if you used Slack before you started working with us at Catalyst Sale, Jody, but it's changed the way that I work from the standpoint of I'm not spending as much time in email as I used to. And I feel like I'm able to keep track of larger pieces of information. Now, maybe that's a bias that I have, and someone will come back and say, all you've done is move your email into another tool. But Trello is a favorite of mine when it comes to project management, and Slack is a favorite of mine when it comes to communication, collaboration, and engagement with various groups who have specific interests, whether those are clients or people outside of our client network. I've got a team of people that are going through a cohort of a Catalyst Sale workshop on relative to sales for non-sales professionals. And we've got our own Slack channel where as a group, we can communicate with each other. And it's really helping the learning process.
Slack has been a great tool, and I found a way to use it that works best for me. I do not put it on my phone. I tried it, but I found myself checking it all the time.
Yep.
And so I took it off my phone. That way, communication with my team is only when I'm at my laptop. And in that way, it did cut down on email because I still have email on my phone, but not Slack. And so it's a different communication that funnels through my email than it does funnel through Slack.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for all of these things. And I think that's a good way to kind of wrap the discussion out around technology. And I'd really like those in the audience to tell us about the new technologies that they're using, the emerging technologies that they're using that are making an impact on either your role as an individual sales professional, your role in the sales enablement space, your role in the learning space. Share those tools, share those technologies with us. I'd like to learn from each of you. But the point that I kind of want to close on here that I think is really important is don't stay with the tool just for the sake of staying with the tool. If someone says you should be using OneNote, don't force yourself to use OneNote over and over and over again if you'd rather use if another tool just works for you in your workflow. Don't let yourself get frustrated by the technology. Also, don't add things into your stack just for the sake of adding them. Because every time you add a new technology into your system, into your solution, it's going to have an impact on other members in that system and in that solution. And if that impact is not positive, then you start to amplify the negative impact, the compounding activity of that negative impact. And what maybe cost one rep a couple of minutes a week across a team of 200 starts to cost the organization a couple of hours a week. And it can have a significant impact on your productivity as an organization. So don't implement technology just for the sake of implementing technology. Make sure you test it with those people who are early adopters inside your organization. See how it works inside your workflow. See how it disrupts some of the processes that you have in place. And once you've validated that test, then figure out exactly what that looks like as a larger scale implementation. Test, iterate, test, iterate.
That is a great spot to end on, Mike. This has been good. I know now you've convinced me I do need to get deeper into Trello and figure it out and see where it helps, because I've got a lot of things going on, a lot of things moving around. So if I can find something new that helps, I will do that. You mentioned you want people to let you know what tools they use. How can they reach out and let you know?
Best place, Simmons_M on Twitter is a great way to find me. And if I'm tweeting from Simmons_M, that's me live. I don't use any of this is one of those things where I've not adopted a technology to help support that. Another great place to interact is through catalystsale.com. We have live chat enabled. If you live chat with us through catalystsale.com, it comes into our Slack instance. And we've had a couple of really good questions that have come up in that live chat. And beyond catalystsale.com and Simmons_M from a Twitter perspective, you can always reach us at hello@catalystsale.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mike. And thank you for listening to the Catalyst Sale Podcast.